It's been a week since the trailer to Avatar Fire and Ash has released, and now that we also have the information from Empire Magazine's latest issue, there's a handful of things and callbacks to the previous movies that I discovered. Avatar Theory here, hope you're doing well and having a fantastic day. And if you've not yet watched my previous breakdown of the Avatar Fire and Ash trailer, I do have a detailed breakdown of the regular trailer, and I also have a breakdown of the IMAX trailer because that one shows a lot more due to its expanded aspect ratio. But as I said, now that the latest issue of Empire Magazine is released, that gave us a new look at Varang. And just rewatching the trailer, well, a lot of times, I think I may have discovered some callbacks to the previous movies. But firstly, when the trailer opens, the first scene you see is of the Metkayina forest, where Loak and presumably Neytiri flies on their ekrans, and the second shot is Loak and Tireya on an ilu underwater. This could be a reference to the first and second Avatar movies, whereas the first scene represents the first Avatar movie and the second scene represents the second movie. That is of course just my own interpretation of the first and second shot of the trailer. As the trailer progresses, we see Loak sit with Tireya, where he touches her face as we see she got that tattoo on her face, and we do see some Tulkun in the background, but this shot just kind of reminds me of the shot of Jake and Neytiri from the first movie. And speaking of Jake and Neytiri, you remember at the end of the movie where Jake essentially dies in Neytiri's arm, where he is in human form? That is kind of replicated where Spider is dying in Kiri's arms. I don't know why I didn't make that connection before, but just looking at those two shots side by side, it might be coincidental, but it could also be a callback to the first movie. Now, speaking of previous movies, you know the scene in the trailer where Ronal talks to Kiri? Well, I kept wondering what she is referring to in terms of what she expects Kiri to do and why she thinks Kiri has an ability to do something extraordinary. And then I remembered in Avatar The Way of Water, when Kiri was underwater kind of controlling the fish, the only person that really saw her doing that was Ronal. I always thought why Ronal never brought it up, why she never spoke to Kiri asking, how did you do this? What was this all about? But maybe that will be touched on in the third movie. Maybe Ronal will go to Kiri and tell her, I saw you doing something. I know you're capable of something more. If you have to do something, then you should do it. That's essentially what it comes down to. She thinks Kiri has this extraordinary ability. And we also see Ratso and Anung towards the end of The Way of Water see Kiri use her ability to destroy the Mako sub. And again, that's not really touched on either. So I do wonder if they will tell Ronal about this ability that they saw Kiri do. And that is how Ronal made the connection that Kiri is more powerful than she thinks, hence why she asks Kiri for help. Now, going on the shot where Neytiri is in hospital, most likely at high camp, you can see somebody is in front of her talking to her, and initially I thought it might have been Jake, but looking at the shape and the pattern and specifically the red color, it matches Mawat much more. So I do think that she's actually talking to Mawat here, and the person next to her could be Jake, could be Loak, but the person she's talking to is most likely Mawat. Now, one interesting detail that I noticed about the tattoo on Varang's hand is that if you turn it sideways, it looks more like an eye that's set on fire, likely some sort of representation of their clan. Now again, I don't know the exact meaning of the tattoo yet. We will likely know as more detail about the movie is coming out and as we get more information on the artwork and what this eye tattoo really means. But it's just an interesting detail that the eye looks like it's on fire, as we know that the Ash clan, well, likes to play with fire. Now, speaking of the Ash clan, in the scene where the kids gets attacked by flaming arrows, we do see the vein pods in the forest, but if you brighten one of the images just a little bit, you can see actually right there on the side is an Ash clan warrior. It was a quick blink and you miss it moment, but I've been combing through all of these frames, enhancing the lighting, trying to see what I've missed, and it's just a little bit of detail that I missed the first time around, and this is likely the scene where Kiri will get captured. Now, with regards to Spider's mask, a correction that I want to make for this video and going forward is that I kept referring to Spider's mask as being an oxygen mask, which is not the case. I've had many people reach out to me and correct me on that matter, which I really do appreciate. As my choice of words saying that Spider runs out of oxygen is not the correct way, because his exopack is not an oxygen mask, but instead designed to clean or filter the air so that humans can breathe properly, because Pandora's air is deadly to humans due to the amounts of carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. So in me saying that Spider runs out of oxygen, or the fact that it's 0% on the mask because it's out of oxygen, is incorrect, and I do apologize about that. Thus, I just wanted to do this edit, as I will always point out my own mistakes, especially if I state something that is wrong. Also, a small detail that I missed first time around, you can actually see on the right hand side there is a clear crack in the mask showing the extensive damage because, well, the thing is broken and he is not able to breathe properly. I do still wonder how it gets damaged and if it's due to the attack while he's on top of the Windtraders or traveling with the Windtraders. My theory is that it likely happens there, but at least we won't have to wait much longer until we find out. Now, one more thing that I do want to point out in the trailers is about Kurus, specifically Varang, the Windtraders, and potentially Spider. Now, in the latest issue of Empire magazine, we did get an image of Pelak, and interestingly, around his neck, you can see it seems like that is where he keeps Kuru. I then went back and looked at the trailer shot where we see some Windtraders in the background, and I know on top of these wind rays we can see one guy sitting there with his legs crossed controlling these big jellyfish-like creatures, but in the shot where we see Kiri in the front we can actually see one of them standing, and it does look like his Kuru is kind of around his neck. You can see the same for some of the other Windtraders. It doesn't look like their Kurus are hanging at the back. So I do wonder if this is a way for them just to kind of keep their Kuru safe, or just how they go about, as it is an interesting little detail. Now, on Varang's Kuru, I don't know how I missed this in the main trailer, but one of the images that was provided in Empire magazine clearly shows Varang's Kuru, and you can see that there's some sort of spikes sticking out of it. And if you look at one of the shots, or two shots specifically in the trailer, one where she is in an aerial battle, if you pause it just at the right moment, even though Varang is a little bit blurry, you can actually see her Kuru sticking out there as she's bonded with her Night Wraith, and you can also see the spikes sticking out of her Kuru. Now, also in the shot where she walks towards Quaritch, you can also see her Kuru hanging at the back there with those spikes sticking out. Again, I don't know how I missed this in the initial trailer, but it definitely makes her Kuru potentially a dangerous weapon. Now, one more thing that I want to point out is potentially Spider having his own Kuru. Now, we've already seen in some concept art that he is connected via his own Kuru underwater, and we know he will be able to breathe on Pandora, making me think that he will be some hybrid Na'vi human. Now, in the scene where he hugs Jake, just for a split second there, you can see something long sticking out at the lower part of his back. That might be a long braid, I'm not sure, so do take this part as speculation. And you can also see the section where he jumps down during the end part of the trailer. As he's jumping down, you can see something long at the back of his hair kind of flipping upwards, which again makes me wonder, is that his Kuru? Now again, it could just be a long piece of his hair, a long braid, debunking the fact that Spider will have his own Kuru, but it could in fact be his Kuru. Given the fact that they showed us this much in the first trailer, I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually revealed in the second trailer or in some sort of marketing material that Spider will get his own Kuru. And given the fact that the movie is just under 5 months away, we will likely still get a lot of marketing for Avatar Fire and Ash, but I do hope that they don't spoil everything before the movie comes out. In any case, these are just some additional information that I wanted to talk about that I discovered after watching and rewatching the Avatar Fire and Ash trailer multiple times. And as I said before, likely as more information about the movie comes out, I will probably be able to connect more dots from the trailer, making things make more sense. So do keep an eye out for that. But do you feel that there was anything specific, any callbacks, any references that I might have missed? Let me know in the comments below, and for more Avatar content, have a look at the rest of my channel. channel. Until next time, have a fantastic day and stay safe.